All right, as promised, I've got two more examples here for you that we're going to work through using this grouping method. So remember again, we start to simplify, rearrange, and remove our greatest common factor. This one is again another one. We're just going to go ahead and put it in regular standard form, which is going to look like AM, and that's a negative AM. Remember that negative sign is out front, so it stays with it, plus a positive AN. And then we have a positive 5m and then minus 5n. Okay, so that is standard form. So once we've got it in standard form, we can go ahead and move to step 2, which is to group them. So we have negative am plus an, and then 5m minus 5n. So all I did was put parentheses around the first two terms and then another set of parentheses around the last two terms. Okay, so third step is to remove your greatest common factor. So greatest common factor here is going to be a negative a. Remember, we're going to pull out that negative a just because we want to get rid of it. All right, so once we have that negative a pulled out, we are left with m minus n. Okay, and then over here we have 5 as a greatest common factor. So we're going to pull out the 5. And that leaves us with m minus n again. Okay, so that's step 3. And the final step is just to separate what we have. So we have these two, which are the same. So m minus n is our first binomial factor. And then the leftovers are negative a and 5. Okay, typically we don't want to have that negative 1 out there, but we're going to leave it this time just because it's going to make things a little bit easier. So we're going to have negative a plus 5, and we're going to leave that. And just to avoid that, we're actually just going to flip that a and that 5. So we'll end up with m minus n multiplied by 5 minus a. That way we don't have that negative out front. Okay, and then our powers are 1. We're most likely done, but we do need to check our answer. So we're just going to check it real fast. Okay, we're going to do the first two terms. M times 5 is 5m. Outer two terms, m times a is am. And again, that's a negative there, so that needs to be negative am. And then negative n times 5 is negative 5n. And negative n times negative a is a positive an. And so if we rewrite it like the original, we have 5m plus an minus 5n minus am, which is exactly what we started with here. Okay, so that means that this, as our final answer, is correct. All right, so we have one more example we're going to do. We'll go ahead and drop down to the bottom one. Okay, so the bottom, we're going to go ahead and write it as standard form as well. It doesn't need to be simplified or rearranged. And so if we put it in standard form, we have as minus at plus 3rs minus 3rt. Okay, so that's in standard form. So the next step that we're going to do here is we are going to go ahead and group that. So we have as minus at, and we have 3rs minus 3rt. Third step is to remove the greatest common factors. So greatest common factor here is a. Once I divide as by a, I get s. Divide negative at by a, and I get negative t. And then over here, greatest common factor is 3r. So if I pull out that 3r, divide that by 3r, I'm left with s. Divide this by 3r, and I'm left with negative t. And then we have our last step, which is to separate what we have into two binomial factors. So here is the original, here's the factor that is common to both. And then the leftovers here are a and 3r. Okay? And so once we have that, we just need to check our answer. So if we prove that, so we have s minus t multiplied by a plus 3r. And then we're going to start by multiplying the first terms. So s times a is as. And then s times 3r is 3rs. and then negative t times a is negative at, and negative t times 3r is negative 3rt. And if we rearrange it just like up here, we do have a positive 3rs, a negative 3rt, positive as, and a negative at. So yes, that is what we started with, which means this is our final answer. S minus t is the first factor, and the second factor is a plus 3r. So hopefully you'll see that this is just a part of the bigger picture of backwards FOIL, which makes this one a pretty simple factoring process just because you've already done the most of this before. But I will put our review questions out in just a minute, and those review questions will include at least another problem or two just like this. So we should be able to get that wrapped up. Remember, if you need more example videos or more help with this, just let me know. You've got my email, you've got my phone number, you've got Zoom calls, and you can always just send me a message and say, hey, can you do another video or something like that, okay? So I'm here to help. Anything you need, let me know, and hopefully we will be talking soon.